Oh, yeah. Is it Tuesday already? It's the holiday season, and Star Wars has given us a ton of gifts. We got some Ahsoka Season 2 leaked images and just leaked interviews from the cast talking about the Great Mothers and Sabine's new look for Ahsoka Season 2. We also got to talk about the Mandalorian and Grogu because they are pulling out all the stops for this promotion of this movie that's still over 100 days away. We actually just passed the 150-day mark. We are 5 months away from this movie, and they are doing some insane marketing beginning 5 months away, which is absolutely wild. And we got to talk about we got a giveaway today, and Palpatine's return and all this greatness because we got a brand new Star Wars animated series. And before you get too excited, it is just a holiday thing. But either way, it's new and it's awesome. So without further ado, let's dive into all of it. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon? This is the, I guess, the one stream of the week here. We have a stream on Saturday, but we don't have a stream Thursday because it is Christmas. And I know a lot of people, celebrate Christmas, myself included, but just holiday season in general, festivities, even Star Wars, has some nice Christmas celebrations going on with the holiday special and all that. But we got Ahsoka Season 2 leaks to talk about today, Mandalorian and Grogu trailers to watch. Oh, it's just a great time, just Christmas presents from Star Wars. Couldn't ask for anything better. But before we dive into any of it, let's say hi to everybody in the chat. We also got a giveaway today, so don't let me forget about that because it's pretty awesome. Spoiler alert: it's a Mando helmet, which is just badass as hell. But we'll get to that in a second. Let's say hi to everybody in the chat first. John Groom in the house. Matthew, how we doing? Skywalker Academy, how we doing? Fearless, what is up? Ghost Rider in the building. That guy B, what is up? Brandon Baker, how we doing? Max Rebo in the house. WV Grad, how we doing? The Dave that loves Star Wars, great name. Drewby McCool is in the house. Vegas Jedi, how we doing? Holly in the building. Ron, what is up? Darth Plagueis lives, how we doing? All right, if I missed you, you know the deal. Just yell at me in the chat. Diamond, what's up? 730 Evie. Pam Hill, how we doing? Steven. All right, if I missed you, you know the deal. Just yell at me in the chat. Let's give everybody a nice little...
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
All right. We're going to have a fun one today, celebrating the holiday season, giving back to you guys and doing all this fun stuff with the giveaway. This is your sneak peek at the giveaway today. You're not going to want to miss out on this one. So we are giving away the Black Series Mandalorian helmet. So, comes with flashlight accessory too. That thing is pretty badass. So we're giving back for the holiday season, and that will be later on in the live stream. So, we'll get to that later. We got to talk about these Ahsoka Season 2 leaks because, oh my goodness, I didn't really know what we were going to talk about today. This was yesterday. And then these leaks dropped, and I was like, I love to talk some Ahsoka Season 2. We got some Mandalorian and Grogu stuff as well, but Ahsoka Season 2 has got me really excited. So, can you get it to the UK before Christmas? No. I mean, it's highly unlikely that I could get it anywhere before Christmas because Christmas is in 2 days. Nice sweater, Mike. Thank you. Thank you. Feeling a little dark side after last stream. I spent probably an hour killing Din Djarin. I won't be doing that today unless, it comes up. But no, I spent a long time killing Din Djarin last stream. So, I thought I'd stay in the dark side and wear my Vader sweater. But let's talk about Ahsoka Season 2. There was a big, rumor going around that it would be postponed or delayed into 2027, and I thought that was a whole lot of hoopla, and it was all based off of the fact that it wasn't on the release schedule for 2026. Now we actually have some confirmation, a little bit, from an actress who is in the second season of the series, talking about 2026 being the release date. So let's talk about these leaks, but before we do that, we got a $5 super chat. Holy crap, from Aaron. I appreciate that quite a bit, Aaron. Says, happy holidays to everybody. I appreciate that quite a bit. Super chats, memberships keep the lights on over here, so I appreciate it. Oh my God, we got another super chat. Darth Plagueis lives with the very generous $10 holla. What the hell? Happy holidays, Mike, and everyone. Excited to hang out with you guys and talk some Star Wars. Me too. Me too. But I appreciate the super chat. I really, really do. All right, let's start this with a poll. Let's start it with a poll. Voice crack. All right, let's do this. I was singing before this live stream. I was just going, happy holidays, happy holidays. Okay, sorry. Got distracted. Do you think, or let's put it this way. When do you think Ahsoka Season 2 will be released? 2026 or 2027? I'm thinking 2026. I'm probably about 98% 2026. And that 2% of 2027 is, any disaster that could happen. Like, I don't know, maybe somebody accidentally deletes all the footage of Ahsoka Season 2 and they have to go back and re-record the entire thing. But that's unlikely. So I'm still leaning towards 2026. But let's talk about these leaks. So first we have a leaked image talking about Sabine, and then we have a Great Mother's interview. What do you guys want to talk about first? The Ahsoka stuff, the Sabine stuff, or the Great Mother's stuff? Either way, it's Ahsoka Season 2, but what do you want to start with? That's the question. Blood and Guts, great name, says, we better be getting Ahsoka Season 2 in 2026. I think so. There's just, that tiny little possibility that it gets postponed a little bit. Just a little bit. Sabine stuff first. All right, we'll start with the Sabine leaked image. This is coming from Morai, the messenger, who has been a very reliable source when it comes to these Ahsoka Season 2 leaks, at least thus far. And here we get an image of some sort of very grainy but promotional imagery for Ahsoka Season 2. And it says, Mary almost Ahsoka-miss or Soakmiss. Sure. And here we get this image. Again, very, very grainy. I gotta pull it up here. Yeah, that's better. So we got to look at Sabine Wren's hair, which is a lot longer now, and Ahsoka's Leku. Now, the more important thing here is Sabine's hair, because her hair was a lot shorter than this in Season 1, meaning there will be some sort of time jump. Not anything drastic, but at least, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks or maybe even months. It takes a while for hair to grow that long when she was having a lot shorter hair in Season 1. Now, what happens in those months? I assume some training stuff. Ahsoka and Sabine training like we saw in Season 1. What's Shin Hati up to with the bandits? And what is Baylan Skoll doing? Has he freed this Abeloth? Let's be honest, it's probably going to be Abeloth. Has he freed Abeloth from that prison on Peridia? What has gone down? So I think we're going to get a little bit of a time jump of a couple months that will, take place of Skeleton Crew and Thrawn building up his army and bringing those Night Sisters back to life, and the New Republic being stupid and not believing Ezra even though he's back in his physical form. All that will happen in the main Star Wars universe. Well, in the Peridia universe, you're going to get Ahsoka and Sabine hopefully getting some cool training sequences, maybe like some Rocky 1 where Sabine's running up some stairs and going like this. Maybe she gets thrown an orange, or at least the Peridia version of an orange, and she's like running, and all the kids are running down the street behind her, and she's like, sorry. Yeah. So I think that's what will happen in this sort of time jump in between these two seasons, is a training stuff to make Sabine more powerful with the Force a little bit on that side. And then on the other side, you have Thrawn's army being built. That's what I think's happening. So a lot longer hair for Sabine Wren. And the Leku looks pretty similar for Ahsoka. Maybe a little bit longer, actually. I just remember in Mando, when we first saw her in Season 2, it was really short. Like, it ended like here. And it was because she had to do all these stunts, and it was easier to do those stunts if it was shorter. So, yeah. Now it's way, way longer. But we still got Ahsoka the White, which is cool. And it looks like she might even have a different outfit on here, which I don't know where she would have gotten that from. I guess they have the ship in Huyang. But a lot longer Sabine Wren hair. Indeed. Don't quit your day job, Mike? What? That's the worst Rocky rendition ever? What? Chat, this is the holiday season. We're supposed to be uplifting and happy and motivational. You guys didn't like my Rocky rendition? Damn. How rude. So, that's our look at Sabine and Ahsoka, at least their hairdos, respectively. And, of course, we have all the concept images, but we won't look at those today because we've looked at them a million different times. So, that's the leaked image for Ahsoka. Now, let's talk about the interview, shall we? We got a few things here, actually. Oh, this is another leaked image of the cast gifts that they got for production at the end of production for season 2. It just says Ahsoka season 2 right there, and it's got the little logo on the side. Let's open this up. Little cast gifts. Doesn't give pretty much anything away except for the little, New Republic logo going on over there. What? Wait, is that like combined with Ahsoka's logo? That's pretty cool. So you have a little bit of that going on. I'd take one of these if they're for sale. Lucasfilm, I'd take that. I'd take it if you want. I'm an XL. Yeah, I'm XL. If you want. Okay, but in other news, we do have some information when it comes to the Great Mothers. Now, this is pretty fascinating because the last we talked about for Ahsoka Season 2 with the Great Mothers, we were talking about how Claudia Black, was her name Claudia Black? Claudia Black, I believe, is her name. Right? Anybody? Claudia Black? Chat? Anybody? We were talking about how Claudia was not coming back because they couldn't pay her enough to leave her family for months on end because she's a single mom in LA and she would have to fly to London, and there was that whole thing. Claudia Black, yes. Claudia Black won't be back because of that reason. Now, you could say, why not just throw her more money? And maybe that's not even the case because she has to leave her family for months on end. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. But we talked about it because it made us think that the Great Mothers, who were, at least in the back half of season 1, pretty important, we came to the conclusion that their role wouldn't be that big in season 2. Wouldn't be that big. And I still believe that to an extent, but this interview right here shines a brighter light, let's say. All right, take a look at this. The Great Mother, or one of the Great Mothers, played by actress Jane Edwina? Sure. Jane, she talked about her character filming for Ahsoka Season 2, and she had this to say. Having created the role in Season 1, I knew that there was so much more to this character. My copious research into the Star Wars universe and Night Sister traditions enabled me to develop a fully rounded character, grounding the Night Sisters' provenance. Yeah, sure. Yeah. And imbued with all this dark energy and mystical powers of a high order Dothamiri witch. The Night Sister magic has barely even scratched the surface, especially in live action, but in season 1 of Ahsoka. Season 2, you're going to see a bunch of different Night Sisters flying around, or not flying around, but you know what I mean. A bunch of different Night Sisters going around fighting the New Republic, and we're going to get to see a lot more Night Sister magic in action. And that's what I think she's sort of hinting at here. But she goes on. Season 2 gave me the chance to explore her modus operandi, English, Mike, and true aspirations more fully. This opportunity was made possible by Dave Filoni, the showrunner, of course, and writer of season 2. What she's pretty much saying here is they're exploring the Night Sisters a whole lot more in season 2, including her character right here of the Great Mother. Now, this is very, different from what we assumed was going to happen when Claudia Black wasn't asked back or wasn't paid enough to come back for season 2. We thought that the Great Mothers would just be pushed to the side and their characters would really just not be that important at all. However, this suggests otherwise. Night Sisters in general are not very explored much. We get them in the Clone Wars. They're badass. Mother Talzin is one of the most powerful beings we've met in canon Star Wars. And yet, the explanation for their power, the explanation for where they came from and all this other stuff was never explored until Ahsoka Season 1, where it's revealed that they come from a different galaxy. They rode the Purgle over to this galaxy and settled on Dathomir. That's some pretty crazy stuff. The way they're able to manipulate the Force is so different than the Jedi and the Sith, and it's ancient because they came before them from a different galaxy, on a planet where Mortis God statues exist, on a planet where possibly Abeloth exists. The amount of lore and history the Night Sisters have, we've barely scratched the surface. So season 2, according to this, is likely to go so much more in depth in the backstory of these Night Sisters, giving us Night Sister magic, giving us all this greatness with the Night Sisters, which could lead to, of course, characters like Asajj Ventress, who's a Night Sister, characters like Merrin, who's Cal Kestis' girlfriend, who's a Night Sister, being in the series. Maybe not Ahsoka Season 2, but at least in the Mandoverse further down the line, you're going to get those characters. But it's just the extension of the Star Wars lore. Ahsoka Season 1 did it so much with adding a new galaxy and exploring all that. But Season 2 might do it even more. Not just with Abeloth, not with just explaining the Mortis gods and this craziness that is this power that will stop the never-ending cycle of good versus evil that Baylan Skoll is looking for, but also in the main galaxy, with the explanation of the Night Sisters, their powers, and how the magic works. And getting the fact that Season 2, as she says here, Season 2 gives her a chance to explore this more, explore the Night Sisters. Dave Filoni, if you watch interviews from Star Wars Celebration, Dave Filoni talks about how Night Sisters are really just an ancient religion. If you think about the real world and how Star Wars compares to reality, which we live in right now, the Jedi, the Sith, they are just a religion. And George Lucas sort of used the idea of the Force as all these different ancient religions in the real world, their beliefs. So the Jedi and the Sith, they believe in this Force, and they're able to wield it. And when you look at different religions on Earth, from anything of Christianity to Judaism to everything in between, they're all different. They all believe in different things. They all have a different story. They all have a different whatever. It's all different. So in Star Wars, there would be that same thing. Actually, probably more so. We live on one planet. There's billions of planets in the Star Wars universe. So there would be way more versions of that of religious beliefs and different powers like the Force. So when it comes to the Night Sisters, that is just a different version. An ancient civilization that wields the Force in a very, very different way than the Jedi. It's the same concept. It's the same, they believe in a god. It's the same, they believe in multiple gods. It's the same thing as a different religion, but it's just different. And we've never explored that in Star Wars until now. And Season 2 is going to dive so much more deeply into that, how different you can wield the Force using it as magic, and what the backstory of the Night Sisters will be. And that's awesome. So a couple weeks ago, we thought we were getting way less Great Mothers. maybe just some glimpses at some Night Sisters and some fight scenes and whatever. And now, fast forward to today, it sounds like we're getting a lot more Night Sisters with explanations of what's going down, the history, the lore, and all that greatness with the magic and Night Sisters of Dathomir. Or I guess, of Peridia. She does go on to say this too, which is very important. I think that's all I can say for now. And she said enough. But in 2026, a lot more shall be revealed. Again, confirming, at least from her perspective, that Ahsoka Season 2 will be coming in 2026. So 2 things were revealed in this very short interview here with our friend Jane. 1, Season 2 is going to dive a whole lot deeper into the Night Sisters, into the way the magic works, into the foundation of this civilization on Peridia, and all that greatness. And that this show is still coming out in 2026. So that's pretty good. 2026 is still going to go down as one of the greatest years for Star Wars content, I believe, depending on, of course, how good the content is. If Ahsoka Season 2 is a step up from Season 1, which just sounds insane even saying it, but if it is, that would be incredible. Mandalorian and Grogu, especially with the amount they're promoting it 5 months in advance, I think it's going to be pretty damn good. Make over $1 billion easy. But that's, I guess, up for debate somehow. And then Maul Shadow Lord. The next animated series for Star Wars is about Darth Maul. Now, granted, I do have a bias to Darth Maul because he's one of my top 3 favorite characters in all of Star Wars. However, I'm quite excited. So 2026, and that's not even all things that come out in 2026. Actually, I have this pulled up right here. It's almost like I knew I was going to say that. This is 2026 so far. Again, there could be more in 2026, but this is what we know of. Mandalorian and Grogu movie, Ahsoka Season 2, Maul Shadow Lord, The Ninth Jedi, which is a spin-off of Star Wars Visions. And then the video games, Star Wars Zero Company and Galactic Racer, which was just announced a couple weeks ago. Maul Shadow Lord is not about Palpatine? Yeah. Shocking. I know. Yeah. That's shocking. But that is just, I mean, it looks perfection. It looks perfection. Your pal Joe with a 27-month membership. That's insane, Joe. I appreciate that quite a bit. Yeah. I'm excited for everything on this, but not the Vision spinoff. Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm not really that excited for Zero Company either because it's just not my type of game, you know? Happy holidays, everybody. May you all receive the best Star Wars Christmas gifts. Yeah, I hope so. I'm sure I'm getting a lot of Star Wars gifts. That's the perks of being, a content creator where all you talk about is Star Wars on a daily basis. Whenever somebody wants to buy you a gift for Christmas, it's usually Star Wars. And that's fan-frickin-tastic. I love it. Okay, but just looking at this list right here, which Star Wars project in 2026 are you looking forward to the most? What is the top of your list? I know. Well, actually, I don't really know. Let's see where you guys are at. Let's see where you guys are at. Zabo with a very generous $5 holla says, thanks for all the fun this year. Merry Christmas, Mike. I appreciate that quite a bit. This has been quite the year. I know we still have a week left of the year, and we'll, of course, talk about 2025 next week and how great it's been for Star Wars and how 2026 is going to be great next week. But, yeah, it has been an insane year just as us people who love Star Wars as a community. The amount of live streams we've had, I'll have to do the math, but it's a lot. It's at least 150 live streams this year, which is insane. But yeah, it's been a wild year. It's been a wild year. That's for sure. So I appreciate that. I really do. So what are we most excited for on this list? The Mandalorian and Grogu, Ahsoka Season 2, Maul Shadow Lord. Ahsoka definitely. Okay. Kind of a 3-way tie between Maul, Ahsoka, and Mandalorian and Grogu. Okay. Ahsoka. Fallout Season 2, LOL. That's not on this list. That's not on this list. For me, it's Ahsoka. That first season ended in such a way where I've been on the edge of my seat for the last 2 years waiting for this second season. And I am dying to know if it's Abeloth that we are waiting for and what can of worms that could open with the Mortis gods and all that greatness. We just got done talking about Night Sisters and the expansive lore of what that could look like in Season 2. The character of Baylan Skoll, of course, sadly, Ray Stevenson's gone, but now we have Rory McCann stepping in the role, more Anakin, more Ahsoka, and Grand Admiral Thrawn. This year, I spent the majority of the year re-listening to, I suppose, the audiobooks of the Thrawn trilogies. And it just got me so much more excited to see the Big Blue Meanie in live action as the heir to the Empire, and getting to see him in a all-out war in our Star Wars in Ahsoka Season 2. It's got me beyond excited. So Ahsoka Season 2 is definitely at the top of my list. Then right behind it, in very close second and third, are Maul Shadow Lord and The Mandalorian and Grogu. Probably in that order, because I think we will be getting Maul Shadow Lord before. And it's just, very close. So I think that's got me more excited. The Mandalorian and Grogu, honestly, the shock value is going to get me the most excited. Because here's the idea. Right now, we've had, 2 or 3 trailers? I guess leaked ones, but, 2 or 3 trailers for this series. A ton of information, like Sigourney Weaver is involved, and she's, of course, not really playing that big of a character, but Stinky the Hutt is being voiced by Jeremy Allen White. We know little bits of information, but the amount that we don't know is insane. We don't know anything about the plot of this movie or any sort of nothing. We don't know anything. So that's what has me the most excited about The Mandalorian and Grogu. Yeah. True. Clan Mandalorian, what's up? How we doing? Still no release date for Maul, though, right? Yeah, no release date yet. But the latest rumor that we had is that Maul will get its first teaser trailer in January. So next month. Maybe in a couple weeks, for all we know. Yeah. Indeed. Leaks F up everything? People never learn, do they? Well, leaks are, you got to take them what they are. Take them with a giant grain of salt, because sometimes they're wrong and sometimes they're right. Chances are, usually when a photo like this comes along, a photo like this comes along, where it's the merchandise that the cast got, or something like this with Sabine's hair from a promotional image, those are usually true. However, the other things is where you have to take it with a giant grain of salt. The leaks and rumors are what give us something to talk about, get something excited, gets the fandom going, because without it, we have nothing. All we have to do, we can use our imaginations and come up with what could and couldn't happen, but the leaks give us something solid to speculate about. Will this happen? Will this not happen? So although they may not, or they may, it's still something to speculate, something to grasp, something to hang on to while we wait the long 3 years between seasons when it comes to Ahsoka Season 2. Oh, it's so crazy. Ahsoka Season 1 ended 2 years ago, and we're going to have to wait another year until Season 3. It's crazy. It is crazy, but it's something. It is something. For example, this leak we were talking about today, it confirms that there's at least some sort of time jump. Some sort of. Whether it's a couple weeks or a couple months, Sabine's hair cannot be that long in just a couple days. So it's not picking up directly right after Season 1. There is some sort of time jump. Some sort of. I appreciate the hearts, guys. I really do. Yeah. Did I say Season 3? Oh, no. Season 2. Season 2. Yeah. But that's the really cool thing about these leaks. And then we get interviews like this where an actress like Jane, who plays a great mother, is telling us all about how the Night Sisters will be, explored a lot more, and Season 2 gives her a chance to explore her character a lot more, because we're getting more great mothers, more Dathomir, more Night Sisters, more Grand Admiral Thrawn, in season 2, and that it's coming out in 2026, because that was a rumor from last week that it was being postponed to 2027. Yeah. Pretty crazy stuff. The Night Sister magic is something that in the Clone Wars you get a good piece of it. Like, you get Mother Talzin versus Mace Windu. You get Mother Talzin making an undead army of Night Sisters. Like, you get some really, really cool stuff. So the fact that we're getting that in live action next year, it's pretty damn hype, if I do say so myself. Claudia really should be in season 2. Yeah, this news does make it a little bit more sad that she won't be there. The fact that her character is likely to have a bigger role. But because of her character's looks, the fact that she is a completely face-painted character, like, it won't be that hard to recast her character. I guess that's more so to the point. Yeah. That's crazy. All right. Maybe they have hair extensions on Peridia. Possibly. Possibly not. No, I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. Oh, and this was the last thing when it came to Ahsoka Season 2, and then we'll switch gears here a little bit to The Mandalorian and Grogu. But Dave Filoni on Morai. So this was after Rebels Season 2, it says. But it's not accidental that this thing flying around, Morai, the owl, so to speak, it's a subtle thing. It deepens, the lore. And you go, okay, there's the thing at work. There's things at work here that are beyond our reckoning in some way. I could say that it's an observer, a messenger. So that's what he describes Morai as. And it just so happens that this bird is following Ahsoka around, I guess, and is on Peridia when she gets there. Think about that for a second. People kind of just, glossed over the fact that that owl traveled from one galaxy to another and was on Peridia. Or the fact that she's in the world between worlds when Ezra Bridger gets there. So this isn't like a physical animal. This is something that can exist in the physical world, disappear, show up in the world between worlds, disappear, show up in a different galaxy. Like, there's something really weird going on with this owl. And we've barely just, scratched the surface of Morai herself. Yeah. Morai feels omnipresent. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like she can be anywhere, everywhere, all at once. What's the name of that movie? Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. That movie is all about Morai. I've never seen the movie. I know it won a ton of awards. It might have actually won Best Picture, the Academy Award for Best Picture. But I've never seen it, so I'm just going to imagine that Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is just about Morai being everywhere, all at once. That's my theory. But I guess I'll never see the movie. I wonder if Merrin could show up in season 2. She could. Absolutely she could. The fact that she's a Night Sister, this is focusing so much on Dathomir and Night Sisters. The problem is, or I guess not really a problem, but, it's a problem for some people, is that with Merrin comes great responsibility. No, I mean, rewind. With Merrin comes Cal Kestis. And Cal Kestis' third installment in his trilogy of games has not been released yet. Now, it won't be released before Ahsoka Season 2. That's pretty clear. But can they give us live-action Cal Kestis before the third Jedi game? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Actually, now that you brought up Cal Kestis and the Jedi games, this is actually a pretty good time to mention it. Sadly, we actually have some sad news today. Sadly, Vince, I don't want to get his name wrong, Vince Zampella sadly passed away. Vince Zampella was a guy who he made video games what they are today. Pretty much every good video game I've played in the last 10-ish years, in the last decade of gaming, he made them. The original, or not the original, but the old Call of Duties, the good ones, the Modern Warfares, the, was it Advanced Warfare? Whatever it was. He made the really good old Call of Duties. Then he created Respawn, or co-founded the company Respawn, which makes Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, and the third Jedi game as well. He made Apex Legends, which I've put a lot of hours into Apex Legends. And then he most recently worked on or created Battlefield 6, the game I've been playing, again, for far too many hours. So rest in peace to Vince. That is, he died actually in a car accident, which is tragic. But yeah, I mean, a guy who created some of the, or helped create some of the greatest video games I've played in the last decade. Absolutely insane. So rest in peace, Vince. Yeah, absolutely wild. Affects Star Wars because he created some of the two of the best Star Wars video games ever, Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. Co-created the company Respawn, or the studio Respawn. And again, for me personally, I have played a lot of hours of Battlefield 6 and Apex Legends. A lot of hours. So it's pretty sad. Yeah. Pretty sad. But yeah. Yeah. So we'll try to, move on from that. Sorry to bring it up. We know we like to keep it, happy over here and keep it, especially during the holiday season. Mike, what are you doing bringing up sad things? I'm sorry, okay? God. I'm sorry. But moving on. Let's get back to something more upbeat, shall we? Ahsoka Season 2. So, Dave Filoni, talking about Morai. The fact that this owl, for lack of a better word, is not talked about more is honestly baffling to me. The fact that she's in the world between worlds, she can just happen to appear on Peridia, and nobody talks about it. She must have some sort of more important role in all of this. We really haven't seen anything like this in Star Wars. There's never been another animal just following a character around. Like Anakin Skywalker's not looking up into the sky and just seeing like I don't know why the first thing I thought of was Charizard, but he doesn't exist in Star Wars. Seeing a Purgle following him around. That would be crazy. Yeah. It's weird that this is the only instance of this happening in Star Wars, and nobody really talks about it. It just gets sort of brushed over. So, Morai, I think, could play a big role in Season 2, or at least the explanation of her existence and what her powers, quote unquote, are. That'll be very interesting to see as well. Imagine. Well, you also have to think she has a purpose, because when Ezra's looking for why he's in the world between worlds, he finds Morai, and she's the one who shows him Ahsoka versus Vader on Malachor 5, and then Ezra pulls Ahsoka through the portal. So it's almost like she's the one who saves Ahsoka. It's a pretty important bird, let's put it that way. Pretty damn important. Yeah. Can I get some good cups, follow orders in the chat, please? Bumpa. But that's the Ahsoka Season 2 stuff, from leaked images to interviews to Morai herself, I guess. That's the Ahsoka Season 2 stuff. Oh, there was this, of course, but we talked about this already. The connections to The Lord of the Rings with the door, and her being Ahsoka the White and Gandalf the White and all that. We've talked about that for hours and hours on end. But let's switch gears a little bit here. Before we go to The Mandalorian and Grogu, I want to talk about this first, because not many people know this, but a brand new animated Star Wars show was just announced. And, well, let's just watch the trailer for it.
Going in, we're going in full throttle. That'll keep those fighters off our back.
Actually, wait, no. Let's watch the other one first. Yeah, let's watch the other one first. Okay, so this dropped today, like this morning. And this, actually, let's read the article that comes along with it first. All right, so here's what happened. Lucasfilm surprised us with the Christmas Day, or I guess holiday season miracle. Celebrate the Star Wars saga with a festive holiday short on the Star Wars Kids. So yes, this is made for kids, but so is all Star Wars. This is just a very cool little holiday surprise from Lucasfilm. So, the holiday season. We have the perfect gift to share your love for Star Wars with the magic of creativity with your favorite younglings. Oh no, is Anakin involved? Arriving on Star Wars Kids this Tuesday, so today, a bite-sized short from the Wizards at Industrial Light and Magic, or ILM, reimagined the classic scenes from A New Hope, which will be 50 years old in a couple of years, with a delicious twist. Am I going to be... I'm already hungry. Don't do this to me. Am I going to be more hungry? Might have to end this stream early to go eat something. The Death Star, Darth Vader, the Rebel Alliance fleet of X-Wings have been crafted entirely out of gingerbread cookies. What is going on here? What is happening? Okay. The stylized animation is one of the ways that ILM artists are paying homage to the Star Wars galaxy, finding creative ways to explore both their craft and their love for the saga. The Gingerbread Death Star Trench Run was created by ILM artists, including Landis Fields, a real-time principal creative using some of the same Unreal Engine technology used to craft the sprawling worlds of Star Wars video games and visuals, like we just saw a couple weeks ago with the Fate of the Old Republic trailer. So we don't have to read this whole thing. We're going to watch the trailer. Oh my God, it's Vader as a gingerbread man. Not the gumdrop buttons. All right. Whoa. Is this like crochet? Is this a crochet Grogu and Din Djarin? You know who crochets, chat? Do you know who crochets like a mad man or mad woman? Do you know who crochets, chat? Do you know who crochets? Chat? The Muffin Man? The Muffin Man! No, the Muffin Man doesn't crochet. Sam! Yes! Sam crochets. She actually crocheted this big-ass blanket for Christmas. Pretty epic. Yeah. Yeah. Samantha is a crochet master. Actually, there's a blanket right there that she crocheted. Can I grab that? Nah, it's too far away. It's too far away. All right, so let's take a look at these trailers. We got two of them, actually. This is just a fun way for Lucasfilm to, have us enjoy the holiday season. Check this out. Wait, is this in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie? No way. I thought they just animated it. They actually made all of this and did it in stop motion. That's sick.
Minis are a creative way to celebrate our favorite characters from the Star Wars galaxy.
What's really cool is getting to make things that we saw as children and inspired us.
It's a fun little puzzle to find what's the essence of this. Why does this scene I saw when I was 6 years old work for me now?
Okay, that's just fun. I mean, that's just awesome. Obviously, nothing like, oh my God, this is changing the Star Wars universe forever. Star Wars will never be the same. Never be the same. No, but it is fun. I mean, this is like cool little stuff that they always do that is just cool. Let's watch the other trailer. I think it's like a behind the scenes trailer. Yeah, take a look at this. Also, yeah, let's watch this.
We're going in full throttle. That'll keep those fighters off our back. Right with you, boss. We just like Beggar's Canyon back home.
Use the Force, Luke. Let go, Luke.
The Force is strong in this one.
That's
Luke,
so
trust me.
awesome.
Have you now?
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.
Not the gumdrop buttons.
Great shot, kid. That was 1 in a million.
Look at Chewie.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
I mean, come on. That's awesome. Yeah, that was actually surprisingly a lot better than I thought it was going to be. For some reason, Luke's face killed me. It killed me. Take a look at this. That is awesome. That is so good. Yeah, that's hilarious. Makes me want some gingerbread cookies. And yeah, I just sit here and watch this and I just go, imagine you sit down at Christmas dinner or whatever, and you sit down, your family's like, oh, what are you doing recently? And you're like, I'm working at ILM. Like, oh yeah, what are you doing? He's like, making gingerbread movies. Oh, it's so awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So I think I'm not quite sure, but let's see. It said it was coming out today. Let's see. Oh, it is out today, and it's out for free. Look at this. So it's on at Star Wars Kids on YouTube, and it's completely free. That's pretty cool. So you don't even have to pay for Disney Plus. It's on YouTube. That's cool. All right, so there was that. Now we can talk about the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. That was surprisingly fun. Okay. Yeah, that was awesome. So there's that. If you want to go check it out, maybe make some gingerbread cookies and watch Star Wars in gingerbread style. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But let's talk about the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Not only did we get this leaked trailer last week, last week. We got the leaked trailer that we watched. We broke it down. We got the 3 new scenes. We got the chessboard pieces from the Millennium Falcon. We got Din Djarin definitely going to die in the movie. And the awesome, cool flamethrower scene where he uses the flamethrower to kill the whatevers. We did get this leaked thing, and I don't know. I mean, has this been translated? Oh, I think it has. Okay, so there was this right here, which is sort of a not in English, but it does give us a brief description on Grogu's character and the Mandalorian's character, Din Djarin. And that has been translated. Oh, wait, what? I just lost it. I just had it 2 seconds ago. What the hell? Where'd it go? Aha, found it. All right. So here's what it's translated to. A new description for Din Djarin and Grogu for The Mandalorian and Grogu have been released. Grogu, an orphan of the same species as the great Jedi Knight Yoda. So it doesn't say child of Yoda. It just says of the same species, who is taken by the Mandalorians, taken in by Din Djarin. He is mischievous and a glutton. Oh my God. He's eating all the eggs. As he is still a child and cannot speak, although we may see that change very quickly. And although he is unable to use it freely, he possesses great hidden powers of the Force, which has made him a target for the remnant of the Imperial Army. This is like the third time now we've seen this be in the description for a Mandalorian and Grogu movie, where Grogu is the target of the remnant of the Imperial Army. We saw it in the leaked synopsis from that Blu-ray where it said that he would find this ancient artifact and then he would become the target for the Imperial remnant. And now we're seeing it yet again on this leaked Star Wars from the official Star Wars Japan page, by the way. So this is coming from Lucasfilm themselves. And then Din Djarin, after losing his parents at a young age, which people kind of forget about because it was in season 1 of the show, he was recruited into a strict warrior group, the Mandalorians. Following his clan's strict code under the motto, "This is the way," he abandoned his name and donned armor and a helmet and became a lone bounty hunter, operating without revealing his true face to others. He never gave up, no matter the situation. So not revealing his face to others has been a very key part of the Mando story in all 3 seasons, especially in season 3. It's made very clear that we will not be seeing his face anytime soon unless his helmet is taken off by another character or he dies. But I can't possibly imagine them making a Mandalorian and Grogu movie with Pedro Pascal being the enormous superstar that he is right now in Hollywood and not show his face. I can't possibly imagine that. So maybe they show his face because he dies, but either way, I mean, you know, his face is coming up, I think. Yeah. Somebody brought up Avatar in the chat. So Avatar. So for all you people, as we talk about the Mandalorian and Grogu, that don't think the Mandalorian and Grogu movie will make $1 billion, well, one, we're going to talk about how much promotion that is going into this movie 5 months in advance, which we're going to look at in a second. But number 2, Avatar, Fire and Ash came out over this weekend. And it was projected, you know how like they have all those how much money it will make over the first opening weekend. It was projected $90 to $100 million. $90 to $100 million, and that would honestly have been a pretty good opening weekend. Can anybody guess how much money Avatar, Fire and Ash made this weekend? Anybody? I think Avatar, Fire and Ash, by the way, I've never seen it. I didn't even see the second one. I saw the first one in theaters all those years ago, and I've probably seen it 1 or 2 times since, but I've never seen the second one, and I have zero urge to go see the third one. We can talk about Avatar because it's really weird. It's this enormous franchise. The third movie's likely to make $1 billion, maybe even 2, because I don't know what's going on there. But all 3 movies have made a shit ton of money. At least the first 2 are 2 of the highest grossing movies of all time, both making over $2 billion. The strangest part of all that, like Marvel, Star Wars, DC, all these other movie franchises have this lasting impact just in pop culture, in the real world. People talk about Star Wars. Everybody knows about Star Wars, and they dress up as characters. Merchandising is a huge thing. With Avatar, that just really doesn't exist. Nobody talks. I don't know a single name of a character in that franchise, but everybody knows Darth Vader. Everybody knows Luke Skywalker. Everybody knows Tony Stark as Iron Man. Everybody knows Clark Kent as Superman. But for some reason, even though Avatar makes all this money, it doesn't have that cultural impact that these other franchises do. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. I honestly am not that big a fan of the franchise anyway. But I don't know what it is. I don't know. But the movies just keep making money. Because this third movie over the weekend, nobody guessed it right. This first movie over the weekend made $384 million. 384? 380 something. $380 million. It was projected 90 to 100. So it's definitely on track to make $1 billion easily in a movie that was not supposed to, supposedly. So to take that and talk about how nobody's ever going to see movies anymore, that movie made a shit ton, and I mean a shit ton, of money. So again, yeah. You mean there isn't an Avatar celebration? No. Star Wars is... It's very hard to compare anything to Star Wars. Star Wars is this insane, massive franchise that does have things like Star Wars Celebration and like specific events for just Star Wars. There's nothing like Star Wars. Let's put it that way. There is zero things on Earth that exist that are anything close to how big Star Wars is. And that's just an undeniable fact. Star Wars Celebration is a specific Star Wars only celebration that happens almost every other year now, but still it's where hundreds of thousands and millions tune in, but hundreds of thousands of Star Wars fans come together to celebrate the franchise. That doesn't happen for any other franchise anywhere ever. So when it comes to comparing things to Star Wars, that's kind of an unfair battle. And again, another reason why I think this movie will make $1 billion easily. But yeah, there's no Avatar celebration. There's no Marvel celebration. There's Comic-Cons, but again, that's not Marvel specific. That's all things. Like Hall H, where they announce all the Marvel stuff, that's a Comic-Con where it's celebrating different things, not just Star Wars. So it's uncomparable. Yeah, it really is. However, there is no Avatar celebration or anything of that sort, which doesn't really make sense. Star Trek is a second. Star Trek, I know there's a lot of Trekkies out there. I am not one. But just from an outside perspective looking in, I know Star Trek fans are very hardcore Star Trek fans, but the fandom is not nearly as big when it comes to popularity as Star Wars is. Star Wars has a everlasting presence, and I know Star Trek just made a new show somewhat recently that was pretty popular, but it's nowhere close to the extent of live action, animation, movies, etc., comics, books, all coming out at the same time like Star Wars does. And I can't really speak to it, but I know from just an outside perspective looking in that it is not at the same numbers as Star Wars. Yeah. I compare Star Wars to my everyday life, and Star Wars is so much better. Well, that's, yeah. I suppose I do the same thing, yeah. Yeah, Star Trek has a very, very, very cult following, much like Star Wars does. But it's not the same level or amount of people. How did we get on this? Oh, Avatar, yes. So Avatar made a shit ton of money this weekend. And again, it's more to the fact where I think that this Mandalorian and Grogu movie, it's not just going to make $1 billion. I think it'll make $1 billion easily. It's the question of whether it'll make $2 billion, which I think will be more difficult. Yeah. So with that being said, let's take a look at the promotion that they've already begun to roll out for this Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Not only is that trailer that we watched last week attached to Avatar Fire and Ash, and there was a trailer attached to Zootopia 2. And again, we are still 5 months away from this movie. But we do have a countdown, and Star Wars Japan just released this trailer on Friday. Wait, what? No. Why does it say Friday? It's not Friday. Oh, that's Friday, May 22nd. I just don't read. Okay. But this came out 16 hours ago because yesterday marked the 150-day countdown to this movie. We are less than 150 days away. That's crazy. It seems like we've been talking about The Mandalorian for so long and talking about how far away it is that it just still seems so far away. But it's getting close. It's getting really close. And honestly, as I look at this number, me and Samantha are running out of time because we have to watch so much more Star Wars content in just 150 days. I'm not complaining, but we are running close on time here. This trailer doesn't have any new scenes in it, by the way. I have watched it. So there's that. But we do have this new promotional piece, this countdown. So if you go to see an IMAX movie, I suppose. Well, this isn't the whole thing. Hang on. I believe I saved the whole thing. Let me check. You go to see an IMAX movie, you get this countdown for The Mandalorian. Oh, where is it? Where did I see that? Was it on Instagram, maybe? Let's see. Let's see. No. 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 Okay. Maybe TikTok. Let's try TikTok. There's a countdown for The Mandalorian and Grogu. They are really pushing hard into the advertisements for this movie, or I guess promotion for this movie, and we are so far away. So far away. Where the hell was this countdown? All right, I guess we're going to watch the not full countdown, but we'll watch it anyway. We shall watch it anyway. So it's just this countdown in the IMAX movie theaters. It's a promotion for The Mandalorian, but also a promotion for IMAX. And it does, obviously it's a recording of a recording, so the audio does not sound good and the visuals do not look very good. However, it does suggest that they are really going all out when it comes to IMAX with this movie, which is really cool because how do you one-up how good that The Mandalorian looks on Disney+? Well, IMAX. Make it for IMAX and make it as visually and I guess visually as appealing as you can make it. And they're really going all out with the quality of this movie, which is really great to see. So they're making the return to the movie theater something that you should want to watch in the movie theater. Because Star Wars is on Disney Plus and has been for the last 6 years. You need to get butts in seats. And you want people to just not go, oh, I'll wait until it's on Disney Plus, because some people do that. Some people do that because they just don't want to go see it in the movies, whether it's because they don't want to go to a movie theater or they think it's too expensive at the movie theater. Whatever it may be, Star Wars is supposed to be seen on the biggest screen possible. It's supposed to be seen in the movie theaters. And they have to somehow recapture that success in the movie theaters. And by making it specifically for IMAX and visually in the best it can possibly be to see it in the big screen, that's the best way they can do it. So the promotion has begun over 5 months before the movie's release. And they are clearly trying to push this movie as the big IMAX experience that you don't want to miss. Summer blockbuster, if you will. So that'll be very, very cool, and I'm extremely excited. But tell me in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie? Tell me in the chat. Where is the excitement level at? And let's watch this one more time. Mind-blowing images. Earth-shattering sound. The ultimate experience. Watch a movie or be part of one. So cool. I can't for the life of me remember where I saw that full countdown. I don't know. But it starts from 10. I can guarantee you that. It doesn't start at 7. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie? 8 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 6.9. Nice. 50,039 out of 10. Okay. 7-ish. 10 out of 10. 47 out of 10. Okay. 10 out of 10. 10 plus. 10, 10, 10. 8 out of 10. Discord. Oh, perfect. Somebody sent it to the Discord. This is why you guys are the best. This is why you guys are the best. Oh, wait. Somebody sent it to the Discord? Or are you just messing with me, chat? Oh, Lucasfilm sent out their 2025 holiday gift cards. This is pretty funny. It's Andor. You got him flying through the trees in the TIE, I guess, Avenger, was it? You got K2SO with a scarf on, who clearly pulled the tree out of the ground. And you got B2 with a nice hat on. That's incredible. And it's to our friends everywhere. Happy holidays, because they have friends everywhere. Genius! Genius. Yeah. 6 out of 10. It looks fine overall, but it will be fun to see Star Wars in the theaters again. Plus Zeb, since I'm a Rebels shill. Yeah, I mean, you gotta shill for Rebels, right? You gotta. Ahsoka Season 2 trailer just dropped. I don't believe you, Max Rebo. I don't believe you for 1 second, but I do have to check just in case you're not lying. See, I didn't believe you, and yeah. Yeah. I knew I shouldn't. I'm at a 9.5. When we see more trailers and get more for the plot of the movie, I'll be at a 10. Yeah, that's where I'm at too. I think the trailers that we have are really good. They got me excited. I'm probably around a high 8s, maybe even in the 9s. But my excitement won't get anywhere close to 10 until I know something about the plot of this movie. Because we don't even know who the main villain is. We don't even know what the plot is going to be. All we know is that the Hutts are involved, the Imperial Remnant is involved, and maybe, if the leaks are believed to be true, there's some ancient artifact to be involved. But there is a hidden Imperial base on a snowy planet, AT-AT walkers falling off the cliffs, and it could be Ilum. It could be Starkiller Base, which would be awesome. But only time will tell. Yeah. Indeed. Yeah. Jeez, Mark. Bah humbug. Mark is the Grinch over there. Yeah. Thanks, Zaba. I appreciate that. Z-Bag. Zabag. I don't know. Whatever it is. I like Star Wars movies a ton and watching them for the first time, but Rebels and KOTOR were stories that fully got me invested in the universe at large. Yeah, I mean, Star Wars is always meant to be in the movie theaters because that's where it was created and that's where it's best being seen. Even the Disney Plus shows, I think, would be better to watch on a movie theater screen. However, the animated stuff, the video game stuff like KOTOR and Rebels, that is the stuff where I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but for the most part, the hardcore fans, the Star Wars nerds, if you will, that's what makes you love the franchise the most. It's those stories, the animated stuff, the Clone Wars, Rebels, the Bad Batch, even the KOTOR stuff in the Jedi games and all those stories. That's what makes you the die-hard Star Wars fan that you are. The movies are great. The big story, that I guess the main story, if you will, but it's the other things that keep you around. Yeah. Could not agree more. Now, speaking of Starkiller Base, speaking of Project Necromancer and the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, do you guys think that the cloning operation, Project Necromancer, the Shadow Council, the Captain, was he a captain? I don't even know. Hux's dad, who's working on Project Necromancer, do you think the Palpatine of it all, somehow Palpatine returns? Do you think that will be a plot point in The Mandalorian and Grogu? Will there be mention of Project Necromancer? Will there be any sort of connective pieces to Palpatine's return in The Rise of Skywalker? Will the first Star Wars movie since Rise of Skywalker connect back to The Rise of Skywalker? Or connect forward to The Rise of Skywalker? Yes or no? You tell me. I'm seeing some please God, no. No. Well, before you go off and say absolutely not, well, first let me pull this up in the chat because this poll has been up for a while. 77% of you think Ahsoka will be released in 2026. 23% say 2027. I'm thinking 2026, but we'll see. Do you think The Mandalorian and Grogu will connect to Palpatine's return? Yes or no? Yes or no? See, I'm seeing a lot of I really hope not. But here's the thing. The sequel trilogy is definitely not going anywhere. As much as some people want it to be retconned, it's not going anywhere. However, certain aspects of the sequel trilogy can be made better by projects around it. For example, the Clone Wars making the prequels better with characters like Rex and Ahsoka, or Rogue One making the originals better, even though it doesn't need to. Or making Rogue One better, even though it doesn't need to. Rebels making the originals better, even though it doesn't need to. All that sort of conversation. The sequel trilogy, as many people would attest, needs the help to fill in these plot holes. For example, Luke Skywalker on Arc 2, somehow Palpatine returns. In the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, or a Mando trilogy, could help with that. Now, you're talking about the guy, Dave Filoni, who not only helped do just that, making the prequel trilogy better, more beloved by making the Clone Wars, by making the original trilogy better and more beloved by making something like Star Wars Rebels. You're talking about the guy who's already done it twice, to do it again for the biggest task yet. The most divisive Star Wars trilogy of all time, the sequels. Now let's take a look at this article, because this article caught my eye. And honestly, we might be getting a lot of connecting pieces to the sequel trilogy in this Mandalorian and Grogu movie. As many people may not want that to happen, it's likely to happen. Take a look at this. This is coming from comicbook.com. 6 years later, Star Wars is still fixing The Rise of Skywalker's biggest mistake. The Rise of Skywalker spends a lot of time making up for what it believes to be a mistake, instead of just embracing Star Wars' Last Jedi story and building upon it. In the sequels, pivots hard. Sure, Kylo Ren remains the bad guy at the beginning, hunting down the Sith Wayfinder that he hopes to help him tighten his grip on the galaxy. However, it doesn't take him long to abandon that mission. Rise of Skywalker pushes him aside to make room for another villain. There is another. One who has his fair share of experience sniffing out rebellions. Somehow, a clone of Emperor Palpatine returns in the final installment of the Skywalker saga. Poetry. It rhymes. Palpatine is the villain of all three trilogies. He builds the final order on Exegol, revealing to Kylo that he was the one pulling Supreme Leader Snoke's strings and luring Rey to him after she learns that she's essentially his granddaughter. That's up for debate. She's the daughter of a clone of him, so she's technically his daughter. Right? It's all very confusing, to say the very least. Since Palpatine met his end in Return of the Jedi, when Darth Vader threw him down the reactor shaft to save his son and bring balance to the Force, rather than just washing its hands of the situation, though, the powers that be at Lucasfilm have been trying hard to make it make sense. So, somehow Palpatine returns. The first opportunity that Star Wars had to clear the air it took was with the Star Wars The Mandalorian. The titular bounty hunter finds himself caring for a being that the remnant of the Empire wants to get his hands on very badly. Sound familiar? That's the plot we were just talking about for the synopsis of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Yes, it is the same plot as the show, but doesn't it make sense that the movie is a continuation of that same plot? They're not just going to abandon the fact that the Imperial Remnant are looking for Grogu and to use his blood to create Palpatine's clone or Snoke. After going on a few adventures with the child, Din Djarin crosses paths with Moff Gideon, who eventually reveals that he is working on a super secret cloning program. He needs the child's blood to learn more about creating Force-sensitive beings out of thin air, which doesn't sit right with Din Djarin. It takes a few seasons, but Gideon loses the war, seemingly dying. I know a lot of people want him to be alive, but he does seem to be dead. On Mandalore at the end of season 3. Unfortunately, he's not the only Imperial left in the galaxy, as we are introduced to the Shadow Council. The trailer for the upcoming Mandalorian and Grogu movie shows the duo once again facing off against stormtroopers, as we see a lot of stormtroopers and AT-AT walkers in the trailer, and other members of what is left of the Empire. It's unclear what they are after at this point, but it's fair to assume that Grogu is part of their plans. Maybe they're even working on Project Necromancer, Palpatine's program that drives the plot of Star Wars The Bad Batch, where Omega, a Force-sensitive clone. Is she, though? Pretty sure Asajj Ventress tells her that she's not Force-sensitive. She finds herself in dire straits, great band, after the Empire gets hold of her, and it's up to Clone Force 99 to save her. I guess that's the whole plot of, yes, The Bad Batch, 3 seasons. I guess they dumb it down to just one simple sentence, but it's better than that. I promise. They get the job done, but they don't shut down Project Necromancer for good. In fact, it might rear its ugly head again in the near future. And how near? Well, maybe next year. Before Gideon and his men go up in flames, he has a meeting with the rest of the Shadow Council. They argue about what to do with the threat of the Mandalorians growing more intense, and the best point of contention being whether to wait for Grand Admiral Thrawn's return, which not everybody is very excited about. Holy crap, hang on. Pause the article. Greg with a very generous $25 holla. My God, that's insanely generous. I appreciate that. Says, the Rise of Skywalker cannot be redeemed. But here's a little Christmas cheers. Almost as cheery as the Star Wars Christmas sweater. Thank you. Step up, peeps, and share the love. I appreciate that, Greg. I really, really do. Super chats, memberships keep the lights on over here, so I appreciate that quite a bit. Rise of Skywalker cannot be redeemed. I disagree. As much as I don't like somehow Palpatine returned, I think the explanation for him returning is very, very clear and can be explained and explored in the Mandoverse. Even the Bad Batch does a very good job of setting up how decades and decades before he even dies, he's working on this project. It's something that Palpatine would always have. In Legends, he has it, a contingency plan. He's too smart to not have something in place for if Vader turns on him, or if he happens to die because he gets run over by a speeder bike. Anything could happen. So Palpatine, the guy who orchestrated an entire galaxy-wide war, would have some sort of backup plan in place. So I think that the somehow Palpatine returns of it all is not the issue. Him returning is not the problem. It's the execution of it. It's the explanation of it. So Rise of Skywalker, to me, can be redeemed, and I think you're seeing it already play out over the last 6 years on Disney+. For example, with The Bad Batch or The Mandalorian. Yeah. So, continuing. Brendol Hux, one of the leaders of the clone charge, and the father of General Hux from the sequel trilogy, does not want to keep twiddling his thumbs and wants to get the Emperor back as soon as possible. Well, Hux may not get his way because Thrawn is back in the picture after the events of Ahsoka Season 1, and he probably wants to put a stamp on the whole thing before it gets a green light. It will be very interesting to know a couple things. One, does Does Thrawn know about Palpatine's return? Does he know about Project Necromancer and all that? Because if he's going to be in charge, you'd think he'd find out. If he's going to have meetings with these Shadow Council members, you'd think he would know. But I guess that's not guaranteed. So how much information does Thrawn learn about what's happening with the whole Palpatine situation? That'll be really, really cool. Because I honestly think if Thrawn learns about that, he might tell somebody like Luke. Because Luke is searching for Exegol before the sequel trilogy. So, I don't know. Only time will tell. But Thrawn does throw a big wrench in that plan. What Lucasfilm doesn't seem to understand, though, is that moving on would be the best course of action. This I wholeheartedly disagree with. Wholeheartedly. You can't leave this open-ended. You can't leave this story untold with explaining how Palpatine returned, with explaining how the First Order rise to power, and Snoke came to be, and Kylo Ren's fall to the dark side, and Luke going to Ahch-To. You cannot leave this, because if you leave it, then it remains this horrible story that fans crap on all day long. The sequel trilogy is loved by so many Star Wars fans. It's also absolutely hated by so many Star Wars fans. I love The Force Awakens. I'll put it that way. The other two movies, I can watch and enjoy my time watching them, but I do see the issues with them, and I would love them to be fixed. I'm not somebody who's going to sit here and go, hey, I hate the sequels. I don't. But I also don't love them as much as I love the other two trilogies. And I think there's so much room for improvement if you tell that story. Tell Snoke's rise to power. Tell the First Order, and as they come to be, tell the stories that are told in the books like Shadow of the Sith, where Ochi of Bastoon gets the dagger, and that explains why that Rey just has this random dagger that shows her where the Wayfinder is. There needs to be that story told. So I could not disagree with this sentence more. Moving on is the worst possible option. Somehow Palpatine returns, and Luke's abandonment to Ahch-To need to be explained. It's not should they be explained. They need to be explained. And I get it. Some people who really, really hate the sequels are not even going to care at all. But to me, to some fans who are on the fence, some fans who are open to the idea that it can be fixed or the plot holes that they see can be filled, it's a necessity. But continuing. Thrawn has the potential to be great villain in live action. I agree with that. So I disagree with the first sentence, completely agree with the second one. And he doesn't need all that weight on his shoulders. Thrawn is especially in the books and in canon books, is one of the greatest characters, greatest villains in Star Wars. Period. End of sentence. In a world where there's these incredible Sith Lords, from Darth Vader to Palpatine to even Revan, Malak, and Nihilus, who's devouring planets. In that world of Star Wars, with all those incredible villains, Sith Lords for the most part, Thrawn does not have the Force, does not have a lightsaber, and he is still one of the greatest. And that's incredible. Yes, he was at one point one of the Emperor's closest advisors before before he disappeared. But as it stands, he has a real shot at gaining control of the galaxy on his own. Again, I disagree with that. Because the sequel trilogy happens, and we know the First Order rises to power, and Thrawn's not mentioned in any of that, it's highly unlikely that Thrawn's rule as heir to the Empire will last very long, or if at all. It will be more of an attempt to take over the galaxy than to actually take it over. Yeah. So, continuing. That sounds like a worthwhile story to tell, whether it's in Ahsoka Season 2 or a crossover project that brings all the main characters of the Disney Plus shows together that Dave Filoni's supposed to be making. As Kylo so eloquently put in The Last Jedi, let the past die, kill it if you have to. Again, I could not disagree more, because this is the past we're talking about here. The quote would be, let the future die. Retcon it if you have to. No, this is, you have to make the future make sense. You have to make the storytelling in the sequel trilogy, those plot holes, make sense. And this is your time to do that. And the fact that you can make something like The Bad Batch, as Justin just brought up in the chat, you can make something like The Bad Batch, have it be connected to the sequels, have it be very integral to Palpatine's return, and it be so good. It be just, especially season 3, peak of all peaks when it comes to Star Wars storytelling. That is the best part. You've gotten The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett, Skeleton Crew, all those great shows because they are trying to fill in this gap, because they are trying to explain themselves for what happened with the sequel trilogy. And in doing so, you're not just going to fill those holes, but you're going to get great content at the same time. Great new characters like Din Djarin and Grogu, or Jod Na, or Wim, or Neil, or Fern, or KB, or all the characters that are introduced. It's the same way the Clone Wars worked. The Clone Wars finishes ideas that the prequel trilogy wasn't able to do. For example, Anakin's fall to the dark side. Some people, not myself, but some people think his fall is too quick. That there wasn't enough in the 3 movies to show why he falls to the dark side. And the Clone Wars expands upon that oh so greatly. It also adds in new fan favorite characters like Ahsoka and Captain Rex and others, but still, those 2 are the big 2. And it brings back Darth Maul, which allows you to tell way more stories in the future with that character, which they are going to do next year with Maul Shadow Lord. So when it comes to fixing these holes in the sequel trilogy with the Mandoverse, with a possible Mando trilogy, with Ahsoka season 2 and the content beyond that, it's not only necessary to fix those sequels for a lot of people like myself, but it's also the opportunity to give brand new great characters like Din, Grogu, etc., and great new stories, which they've done with the Bad Batch and the Clone Wars and all the stuff they've done. Andor is made to make the origins of the rebellion make sense, to make the idea of the Yavin 4 base you see in A New Hope make sense, to make Cassian's story to where he is in Rogue One make sense. It makes Rogue One a top 3 movie for me in Star Wars. It makes the original trilogy even better. And yet, you could argue that we didn't need it at all. We didn't need The Mandalorian at all. We didn't need the Clone Wars at all. And yet we got it, all those projects, and now they're some of the greatest Star Wars content we've ever seen. We're talking about season 2 of Andor. We're talking about season 7 of the Clone Wars, season 3 of the Bad Batch. It's insane. So, when it comes to fixing somehow Palpatine returns, when it comes to explaining that, you not only can do that in the Mandoverse, but you can tell incredible new stories with new characters while you're at it. Because we're getting the Mandalorian and Grogu movie next year. If you said that 6 years ago, before season 1 of The Mandalorian dropped, people would go, who cares? Who? Mandalorian and Grogu? What the hell's a Grogu? They wouldn't care in the slightest. And yet, here we are today, talking about the Mandalorian and Grogu movie and how excited we are for it. People giving it 10 out of 10s for excitement level for this Mandalorian and Grogu movie. But 6 years ago, no one would have cared. No one would have cared. And now it's the cultural phenomenon of Grogu all over the place. It's Grogu mania. But, hey, what are you going to do? So that's the idea for me. Explaining this whole sequel trilogy and how the First Order plays out, and how Palpatine comes to be and all that greatness, it can allow you to tell some great new stories. A Mando trilogy. Yes, Thrawn can be involved. He can be the interim bad guy, and a good one at that. But the end goal is the First Order. The end goal is Snoke and Kylo Ren and Luke's fall. Not to the dark side, but to Ahch-To. So I ask again, and I look at this poll right now, which is almost 50-50. Do you think The Mandalorian and Grogu will connect to Palpatine's return? I not only think yes, 100%, I think it's inevitable. It has to happen. Because the first 3 seasons did. The cloning facility on Navarro, Grogu being hunted down for Project Necromancer. That's the whole plot of the show. So that's my thoughts. It's the same reason they're going to be hunting him down in the movie too. And when you look beyond the movie, you look to Ahsoka Season 2, it won't really be the main plot because of Thrawn and Peridia. But when you look beyond that at Dave Filoni's movie, it's still going to be the plot. Setting up the sequel trilogy, giving us the origins of the First Order and Thrawn's failures, which inevitably leads to the First Order and Snoke. Star Wars Santa in the house. What's up? Merry Christmas Eve, Eve. You're going to have a busy night in a couple nights, huh? Love it. Mike, here's my question. Is fixing the sequel trilogy meant to put a bow on that 1 year in the Star Wars universe, or is it to help raise revelation going forward? Relevance, sorry, English. Help raise relevance going forward at the expense of the Mandoverse, etc. It's not at the expense. Let me ask you this. Do you like The Mandalorian? Do you like the Mandoverse thus far? Skeleton Crew, Mando, Boba Fett, Ahsoka. Do you like that story? Yes or no? Simple yes or no. Are you a fan of that story thus far? Because that's what it's been about. Not specifically like we're making the Mandalorian to explain Palpatine's return, but it's something that's always been there. It's been in the plot of this saga, or this part of the saga, this verse, Mandoverse, the entire time. It's not the punch you in the face, this is all about Palpatine, and you're gonna like it! No, it's not that at all. It's telling these great stories while helping that. Because I don't know about you guys, but 6 years ago, how I watched The Rise of Skywalker versus today is completely different. Not only from books like The Shadow of the Sith, explaining the Ochi of Bastoon stuff and the dagger and all that, whatever. That's cool, and that helps a lot. But because of The Mandalorian, because of The Bad Batch, and it's not that those projects are specifically made to just do one thing and tell that story, but it's in there. It's in the plot. It's also telling a great story at the same time. So I'm not saying the Mandalorian and Grogu movie or a possible Mando trilogy are going to tell or fix the sequel trilogy at the expense of telling a great story in the meantime. It's going to tell that great story while also helping what comes after it. The same way that Andor does. The same way that the Clone Wars does. In the same way that the Bad Batch did. It's already happened over and over and over again in Star Wars. So no, it's not just to keep Rey relevant, because I don't think it'll connect to Rey at all. Rey's not relevant at this point in the timeline. But it will help. It will 100% help. Yeah. Star Wars Santa says, The Mandalorian and Grogu does not tie in to Palpatine or Thrawn. And the DVD description was made up / fake. Again, I said take that with a giant grain of salt because it could be. However, it does not directly tie in. Okay. Yeah, and neither does the show. At least not directly. Palpatine's never mentioned in all 3 seasons. Neither, Thrawn, I guess, is in season 3. Once. But that's the idea. Like, you watch The Mandalorian, all 3 seasons, the cloning facility on Navarro, all this stuff, talk about Project Necromancer. Palpatine is not mentioned once. However, you know what they're talking about. At least if you are in the know. If you're a normie fan, maybe not so much. But if you're in the know, you know what they're talking about. You know what that leads to. You know the importance of Grogu and his blood to what eventually could become Palpatine's return in The Rise of Skywalker. That's not the plot of the show. That's not a direct tie-in to Palpatine. But it's a big, big part of it. It's an underlying plot point. We'll put it that way. I won't skip the movie. I will be at the screening there. And still season 4, please. I don't think they're doing a season 4. I think The Mandalorian is is done because Din Djarin will die in the movie, but that's besides the point. Let's say he doesn't die. I still think we're getting a Mando trilogy, just like Jon Favreau wants, just like Lucasfilm wants, and Disney has just said no so far. So once this movie is a success, then they will greenlight the trilogy, and that will be where Din Djarin exists for the time being. I think this whole talk of season 4, Jon Favreau saying how it's on his desk, is to almost subvert expectations. To think that Din Djarin will survive this movie. But hey, that remains to be seen. That remains to be seen. Anthony says, well, let me out this way. Mike, will the legacy of the sequel trilogy dictate the future of Star Wars? Or will it just be one aspect of the Star Wars storytelling moving forward? Will Mando, Starfighter, and FOTOR be marginalized? No. But it will all be connected. The same way that the prequel trilogy connects all the way to the sequels. The same way that the original trilogy connects to the prequels and the sequels. Star Wars will always be connected, whether it be specifically with characters like Obi-Wan shows up in the prequels and the originals, or if it's by a location. For example, if that planet in the FOTOR trailer, Fate of the Old Republic trailer, is Lanupa. And in Skeleton Crew, you see the Sith writing on Lanupa, but it looks very different because it's thousands of years apart. Either way, you're going to see connections, for example, the sacred texts. Rey using the sacred texts in the sequel trilogy. You're getting a Dawn of the Jedi movie where you're going to see those Jedi write those sacred texts. So it's always going to be connected. It's always the same universe that we live in. It just will be smaller and smaller and smaller connections. Little tiny Easter eggs. Mentions the Rakatan Empire in Andor. Little stuff like that. So will the legacy of the sequel trilogy dictate the future of Star Wars? No. However, it will 100% connect to the Mandoverse because the Mandoverse leads directly into the sequel trilogy. That's like saying you're going to make Rogue One and have it not connect to the original trilogy. That's like saying you're going to make Clone Wars and have it not connect to the prequels at all. It has to. That's canon. It has to connect to the canon that exists right after it. In one way or another. Din Djarin, Grogu, Bo-Katan, Mandalorians, Boba Fett, the Rebels crew, none of these characters show up in the sequels. Not once. I guess the Ghost is at the Battle of Exegol, but we don't know who's piloting the Ghost. But none of those characters show up in the sequel trilogy. However, these stories are still heavily connected to the sequels. Yeah. Season 4 was already written as we talk in this live stream earlier this year. Yes, 100%. I know Season 4 was already written. They talked about it when they were making Season 3. However, I think Season 4 was reworked into the movie. As much as they deny that, I think that's the case. I think things probably changed in the plot when they turned it into a movie, but I think it is Season 4 modified into the movie. And I think the Season 4 that Jon Favreau is talking about may eventually turn into the second episode of the trilogy, if we are so lucky. Yeah. The Ghost was in The Rise of Skywalker? Yes, it was. Is that what I just said, or no? Movies are rebellion space operas. Yes. The books are all detective stories. Mandalorian and other TV shows are spaghetti westerns and World War II dogfights. I wouldn't say they're all that way. Rebellion space operas, I wouldn't consider the prequel trilogy a Rebellion space opera. And all the books are detective stories. I wouldn't really consider the Thrawn ones that. And then the TV shows, spaghetti westerns, yes, The Mandalorian definitely is. The Book of Boba Fett, I guess you could argue for sure. But The Acolyte, Kenobi. If they aren't directly involved, could they be indirectly involved? Yes, 100%. That's sort of what the show is. The main plot of the show is not somehow Palpatine returns for The Mandalorian, or it won't be for the movie either. But it will be a part of it. It will be the end goal. Might not be specifically stated that that's the end goal, but you'll have scenes like the Shadow Council meeting where they're mentioning Project Necromancer and they're trying to get Grogu's blood the entire time for some mysterious reason. It's all connected in one way or another. Some things more than others. Like, for example, we could get an appearance of a certain character, whether it be Luke, Leia, or Han, or all three, in some project moving forward in the Mandoverse. Those characters also exist in the sequel trilogy. That's a direct connection. But I'm sure people won't have a big problem with that. I mean, Luke Skywalker's hallway scene in The Mandalorian Season 2 didn't get very many complaints. But that character is in the sequel trilogy. Just saying. Yeah. Okay, let's get to this giveaway before I forget. I almost just forgot. And then I was like, oh crap, we got to do a giveaway still. So let's get to this giveaway now. So if you are not yet a member, you have a chance to join and become a member right now to get a 1 in like 90-ish chance to win this Mandalorian helmet, as we are celebrating the Mandalorian and Grogu pretty much all year long coming up, at least the first 6 months of the year. So it's this awesome, cool Black Series Mandalorian helmet with, I guess, the flashlight attachment on it. So you have probably 1 minute to join and become a member. There's a link in the description below to become a member. By the way, this poll is 53-46 right now. 47, sorry. Wow. All right, we'll leave that up for a little bit. But let's do this giveaway. Let's see how many members we are at right now. Currently, we have 96 members. Wow. All right, 96 members. So if you see your name on this list, did YouTube update yet? No way. It doesn't scroll back up to the top. We did it. All right, so if you see your name on this list, you have a 1 in 96 chance to win today's giveaway. So starting at the bottom, Cat's Paws, number 1, going all the way up to 96, which is another Mike who loves Star Wars at 96. So you'll have a 1 in 96 chance to do that. So win the Mando giveaway. Let's pull up the wheel here. 1 in 96. All right, let's spin the wheel. I will give you guys 10 seconds. If you don't join within the next 10 seconds, I'm spinning the wheel. I'm spinning the wheel. Start the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 3, 2, 1. Go. No one likes the sequel characters? Oh, no one likes his sequel character. I mean, a lot of people do. Some people's favorite movie ever is The Last Jedi, which is, not particularly mine, but crazy. 27. All right, we're towards the beginning here. Let's scroll our way down here. Scrolling. Starting at the bottom at number 1 is Cat's Paw. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is Starship 66. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 is Razor T. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 is Chris. We were looking for 27, by the way. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. The next one I scroll up to is 27. Drum roll, please. Martin Sedgwick. Martin, you have won the Mandalorian helmet. I don't know if Martin is here right now. I've not seen him in the chat today. But, Martin, you have won the Mandalorian and Mando helmet for the 17-month membership. Appreciate that quite a bit. Hit me up in the DMs on Instagram, on Twitter, on Discord, wherever you can find me, and I will get that out to you as soon as you message me. But you got to message me first because I don't know where to send it. I'll be sending it to every single house in the world if you don't tell me. So hit me up. It's rigged. Rigged. You saw me spin the wheel. So Martin, shout out to you. Hit me up. And yeah. There you have it. Lucky number 27. All right. With that. Oh, we had a high-res look at Rory McCann as Balin Skull. Still got a big problem with this. Love me some Rory McCann. Love me some Ray Stevenson. Love me some Balin Skull. But I have a huge problem with this. His beard should be all white. I know it sounds stupid, but it should be. So I'm going to be a little bit disappointed if he is not. I mean, this was just for Star Wars Celebration. This was before they even filmed anything. This was, so maybe it looks different, but it's got to be changed. It's got to be changed. Again, that's before they even started filming season 2, so it's possible that it is. Somebody's blasting Christmas music upstairs. You guys can't hear it, so I was just dancing like an idiot. But okay. With that being said, let's. Did I get to everything today? Talked about that. We did the giveaway. Talked about Ahsoka season 2 leaks. Talked about the Mandalorian and Grogu. Oh yeah. Well, we talked about this before, but it was confirmed by StarWars.com that Maul Shadowlord will have a new style of animation. I don't really know how to feel about this, at least not yet. Ugly sweater? What? Love the ugly sweater, Mike. Tell Darth Vader to his face that he's ugly. Do it. I dare you. I dare you. That's what I thought. Okay. But a new style of animation concerns me a little bit just because, or I'm hesitant about it, just because I loved the perfection that they had with the Bad Batch in the Clone Wars Season 7 animation. I thought it was perfect. So a new style is a little bit concerning, but I do love Star Wars animation in all its styles. The Star Wars Rebels is probably the worst style that they have, and it's still my favorite show. So I'm hoping for the best anyway. I guess we will have to wait and see. Yes. All right, but with that, I do have to get on out of here. I got to go finish up a short for tonight. So watch out for that about 5 p.m. There is no stream on Thursday because it is Christmas Day, and I will be eating a ton of food and opening presents. So I hope you all will be doing the same. If you don't celebrate Christmas, happy holidays to you. Merry Christmas to all of you that do. And this was, we'll finish off the year strong on Saturday, Tuesday, and Thursday, or Saturday and Tuesday, because Thursday is the new year next week. So 2 more live streams in 2025. That's crazy. 2 more live streams in 2025. And we'll be celebrating the year and looking forward to next year in those live streams. So watch out for that on Saturday and Tuesday of next week, and videos and shorts and all that greatness in the time being. So I appreciate all of you guys. Stay safe in this nice holiday season. If there's snow, stay extra safe. But I appreciate you all so much more than you'll ever know. This was quite the live stream. I appreciate all the very generous super chats and wishes and all that stuff. So yeah, it's going to be a fun holiday, and I hope that you guys all have a great holiday as well. If you are not yet in the Discord, there's a link in the description below to a Discord called The People Who Love Star Wars. Go join that immediately. Yeah. This has been a fun one. This has been a fun one. So, happy Life Day. There you go. Happy Life Day. That was actually back in November, I believe. But, true. True. Until next time, may the Force be with you. Always. Oh, yeah. What a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. This was quite the live stream. We talked about, Ahsoka season 2. My hype is beyond insane. I appreciate the hearts, guys. I really do. But when it comes to The Mandalorian, it's going to be very interesting to see how much money this movie makes because there's so many just differing opinions. And I get it. I get it. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. But until then, watch out for that short later on today. Hope you all have a great holiday. And yeah, hope you have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your lives, and good night, everybody.